Hi everyone, Lady V here from Safe House of the Desert, and welcome to Skills Lab class. And today's art project is about abstract artistry. And so I'm going to show you a few examples of some art that you're going to be doing in class today. First of all, what you're going to be needing is you're going to be needing either a canvas or watercolor paper. You're going to need acrylic paints, whatever colors you want. You're going to need something to scrape, like this is an old credit card. Kind of nice. And you're going to need an assortment of bristle brushes, okay? Lastly, you're going to need blue tape, right? So first of all, when you think about abstract art is really fun because it's more about the process and it's not about the quote-unquote imagery that you're trying to create. It's really literally a meditation in and of itself. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So when we look at this piece of art, this piece of art is made by a scraping process. It's got some metallic going on in it. Here's another example of using fire colors and taping, right? Very abstract grittiness. And here are some examples of using, again, the taping and also this kind of striking with a brush. And this is a base that we'll work on today. So literally what you can do is you can take your canvas, and what I didn't tell you is you need a Sharpie, some sort of Sharpie. And literally you can take it and you can put it all over this canvas. Now you may find that what you want to do is you want to put words or a story or what have you. And what we'll end up with is as you do your art piece, you'll have all these lines underneath with the transparencies of this particular art. The thing about scraping paint and scraping acrylic is that you need a very, very small amount. You don't need a whole bunch, right? And so the trick is that if you're working in 3 colors plus black and white, you're groovy and you're solid. You're going to be working, like, let me just put this here. You're going to be working from the bottom going up. And literally, in order to make this art piece, you're scraping the paint onto the canvas or the art piece or the piece of paper. And you're watching the blending of all of that happen together. Now, because this is all coming through, I had scraped across it really pretty hard. If you don't have an old credit card, you can use literally pieces of watercolor paper and use that and it'll pick up the paint. And I'm going to demonstrate for you, but this is kind of just giving you a quick kind of look at what we're doing, right? And then I'll continue to layer on top of this. Where the taping comes in is very similar to what we've done in the past, where we'll literally put the tape and start creating cells or designs here. Now, 2 things happen. Normally in art that we've done before, we've left this on a blank canvas where these places became white. Here, they're going to maintain the same colors that's on this background color that you've created, right? So as I add more tape and create more of, lines and cells and whatnot, I can add on more color and I can choose to layer one cell over another. There's lots that you can do here. So let me show you real quick how much paint you're going to be using. If you're working with acrylics that are in like a small tube, you're literally going to be putting on tiny dots of paint, not much, and only in a couple of places. So let's say here I've got these dots of paint, and then let's say I'm going to add in some white, and I'm going to add in some other colors. So again, we don't want to use a whole bunch of paint, because what happens is if you use a whole bunch of paint, you end up with, and I'll show you what happens, you end up with that. Where too much paint, too fast, too soon, you'll end up with a blob. So here's the deal. So if I'm using, for example, okay, let me just add one more color here, and then I'll show you. And then we'll get going. So let's say I'm using this credit card, right? I'm literally going to be swiping the paint. I'm going to be swiping it and creating lines with the paint. You can take it across your tape. And now this is starting to have kind of a whole different kind of interesting thing happening and going on, right? So you're going to play with this. You're going to allow yourself to play with the colors. One thing I'll say for you is that it's really vitally important that literally you start with small areas to work with. Now where the brushes come in is, let's say that I want to now start creating some lines. I'm going to do this all on the edges of the tape, and let's say that I want to use white for that. So I'm gonna put some white paint on a palette, and I'm gonna take a really nice chip brush, bristle brush, and I'm literally going to be painting and allowing this brush to leave brush strokes, dry, you know, kind of like these dry type of long lines. And again, you know, if you have too much paint going on, what'll happen is you end up losing all of the texture and the things you've got going on. So once this dries, then you end up taking off your tape, just like we've kind of done in the past. You want to make sure that this is all dry before you put the tape on, right? And so then you've got these interesting lines that have been kind of called out, and now this starts to be very, very interesting, from the small lines that are done with the marker to the tape line that protects the base, to adding and stroking across all of these surfaces, and you can create a whole patterning if you want. So abstract art is really fun. Again, you know, this is layers and layers and layers of paint. And so we want to play with that and see what you come up with. If you were doing it on watercolor paper, there's two more things you can be doing with this. You can be cutting this up and making cards out of it. You can frame it and make it a modern art piece to put on your wall. Or you can cut it up in chips. You can make random acts of kindness cards. Lots of things you can do, but the process you'll find, it's really, really relaxing. And so that's why we were going to be doing this today, and I wanted to share that with you. So again, bristle brushes, blue tape, an old credit card, or you want to have like just a rigid piece of paper, and you want to work either on a canvas or a piece of watercolor paper, and that with a beautiful selection of acrylic paints as a really fun project to do, to see what comes up. Again, if you decide that you see it being a specific type of art piece, what'll happen for you is it won't be that. It will ask you to stretch and to allow the flow of artistry to happen, and I think you'll be very pleased at what you come up with at the end of the day and after the end of this project. So Lady B wanted to give you that little tip so we can jump into some fun artistry. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, and obviously if you have any questions, just reach out and I will get back to you right away. All right, much love, good luck you guys, have a great time.